Hi, welcome to Gentle Flow. So today is a little shorter than last time, so a bit of a shorter flow. Having a couple of cushions or pillows would be really good. If you happen to have a yoga block, that's one of the kind of the thinner, wider ones, then one of those would be really good. But otherwise, a couple of cushions or pillows. You know me, love to have a cushion or pillow. Then that'd be really good. So grabbing a couple of them. We're going to start in child's pose, so you may decide if you've been feeling good in child's pose with something in between the thighs and the calves, popping a pillow in between there, or maybe underneath the head. So finding your way down to the ground, to the mat, maybe bringing the knees apart if that feels good. You can have them together if you want more rounding in the spine, but big toes together either way, and then lowering the forehead down to the ground. Normally I've been suggesting for the arms to reach out in front. If you'd prefer to have them down by the sides, then feel free to have them down by the sides if that feels more cozy. So finding yourself into a comfy child's pose position, allowing the arms to relax on the ground wherever they are. So maybe they're out in front, maybe they're down by the sides. And maybe taking a little gentle rock on the hips from side to side, loosening up the body, loosening up the hips. And staying in this child's pose for a few breaths at the beginning. So maybe finding a little bit of stillness and breathing into the back of the body. So all of those areas that you've looked at before, breathing into the lower ribs, the side ribs, the belly. Maybe there's a bit of slowness or a bit more depth that comes into the breath, but not worrying too much about what it needs to look like, just allowing yourself to begin to notice what's going on. What's going on with your breath, how your body's feeling, checking in with how you're feeling emotionally today. What kind of day has it been? So however you're arriving today, that's absolutely okay. It's yoga's one of these things where it's okay to arrive tired, exhausted, frustrated. So whatever feelings have been going on today, allowing yourself to bring your attention, starting noticing your breath. And maybe as you do that, there's a feeling of grounding a little bit, of being able to focus on that one thing. If thoughts do come or go, then that's okay. Let them come in and let them move on. And whenever they do arrive, drawing your attention back to inhaling, maybe in through the nose, and then exhaling either through the mouth or through the nose. So allowing your breath to be the thing that grounds you, that your attention can always come back to. Taking a couple more really deep, nourishing breaths in. And exhaling anything that you need to get rid of that isn't serving you, anything that's feeling stuck. And then maybe taking a few circles with the wrists, getting them warmed up for practice. So if your wrists tend to get sore, you can always take these little wrist circles, and you can always come on to your fists if that feels better. So Yeah, don't worry if your wrists do ever get sore in class. Feel free to give them a break for a bit. And then bringing the hands down to the mat, pressing through the hands, rising up, coming into all fours. We'll take a few cow and cats here. So finding the spine nice and long to start with, bringing the gaze down. And then as you inhale, allowing the tailbone and the hips to rise, rolling through the spine, chest draws through the arms, gaze lifts into cow. And slowly coming the other way, tucking the tailbone and allowing the chin to tuck as well, rounding the spine, coming into cat. So working through these completely at your pace. Breathing openness into the body and exhaling, grounding down into the hands, into the tops of the feet. On your next inhale, finding your way slowly back into the centre. And then come into sit down on the heels into a kneeling position. So if this doesn't feel comfortable, feel free to pop a couple of pillows underneath there, or you can come into a cross-legged position if that's better. I'll just turn around to face you so that you can see what's going on. And we'll come in to open up the shoulders a little bit. So bringing the right arm in front, palm to the sky, reaching the right arm out. And then drawing the left arm underneath, bending both elbows. An option here to either bring the hands back to back. Maybe you can have a little bind, a little grip with the hands. So that doesn't have to be all the way. It might be that just a few fingers link up. So you're kind of curling up the arms. And then once you've got into a position that feels good for you, inhaling, lifting the elbows up and then away from the body. So as you do that, you'll notice you'll start to get an opening in the shoulder here. If that's really not feeling good, then another option is to cross the arms, bring your hand to each shoulder, coming into a sort of a hugging position, and that'll open up the back of the shoulders as well. And it's a little bit gentler, that one on the shoulders. So seeing what feels good, and seeing if you can get a sense of really drawing the elbows up and away from the body, almost bringing the elbows in front of the face, and then drawing them away from the body. And then exhaling, unraveling the arms. Maybe you give the shoulders a little shake. We'll come on to the other side. Left arm out in front, right arm comes underneath this time. Bending the elbows. And then wrapping the arms, so either the hands come back to back, or maybe that right hand finds its way around the back, linking in with the left. You can obviously also take that shoulder hug if that's better. Inhale, drawing the elbows up and then away from the body. Bringing the gaze down into the elbow crease, helping to keep the neck long at the back. And then breathing into any tightness in the shoulders, allowing them to have a bit of space to open up. Taking one more breath here. And then uncurling the arms, having a little shake of the arms, whatever feels good, releasing the shoulders. And then coming back onto hands and knees into the all fours position. And pressing through the hands, curling the toes, rising up into your first downward dog. So if this is your first downward dog of the day, you might want to take a nice bend in the knees, allowing the spine to be open, seeing if you can get your head and your neck to relax a little bit. Pressing down through the fingers. And if you want to, you can have a play at pedaling the feet, or you can see if it feels good to straighten the legs a little bit more. Seeing where you can find the most spaciousness in your body and keeping the spine nice and long. On your next inhale, walking the feet forwards, nice and slow, up to meet the hands at the top of the mat. And bringing the hands to shins here into your halfway lift. Spine comes long, gazes down. Exhale, releasing down into forward fold. So maybe the arms have a hover, maybe they touch the ground, maybe taking a nice generous bend in the knees. Either way, allowing the gaze to come to the back of the room. And then inhale, really slowly, rolling up through the spine, head comes up last. Arms out to the side, up overhead, following with the gaze if you wish. Palms come together in front of the chest. So coming through our first sun salutation, option to go with whatever feels good, try whatever variation you're feeling today, and taking a rest in child's pose at any time. Inhale, arms come out to the side, reaching tall up overhead. Exhale, hinging at your hips, releasing down into forward fold. As you inhale, coming into halfway lift, drawing the spine long. Exhale, bringing the hands by your feet, stepping back into plank. Option to lower the knees or to hold in plank for a second here. And then lowering the knees down, untucking the toes, bending the elbows to the back of the mat and coming down, or coming down onto elbows if that's feeling better that way. As you inhale, peeling up slowly, maybe taking a baby cobra for this first one. And exhale, lowering back down. Inhale, pressing through the hands, back up onto the knees, or coming up onto elbows or forearms first. Finding your way back into downward facing dog when you're ready. So checking in that the feet are still hips width apart, so that's often a little narrower than we maybe think. And allowing the feet to be parallel, getting a sense of drawing up through the legs and grounding down through the heels. Lifting the hips high. On your next inhale, maybe walking your feet forward or maybe stepping to the top of the mat, whatever feels good. Bringing the hands to the shins or the thighs, halfway lift. Exhale, releasing down into forward fold. And on your next inhale, rising up, rolling up really slowly through the spine, head comes up last, reaching up overhead. And exhale, back to mountain pose. So we'll come through one more time, adding in a couple of new standing pose for today. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, lowering down into forward fold. Inhaling to halfway lift, drawing the spine as long as you can, gaze down. Exhale, bringing the hands by the feet, bending the knees, stepping back into plank, holding for a second if that feels good, or lowering the knees. And whenever you're ready, lowering the knees, untucking the toes. And then coming all the way down to the mat, maybe bending the elbows, keeping the spine long, or coming down onto forearms. Inhale, peeling up from the breastbone, taking care to roll the shoulders down and away from the ears. And then coming up baby cobra, or maybe into a deeper cobra if that feels good. And exhale, lowering down, pressing back up onto the knees in whichever way feels good. And finding your way back into downward facing dog, tucking the toes under, lifting up high through the hips. On your next inhale, allowing the right leg to lift up to the sky, coming into one-legged dog. So keeping that left heel grounding down. So the right leg doesn't need to lift very high. It could be just a tiny bit off the ground, or it could be a little higher. And then as you inhale, coming up onto the left toes, and then lunging the right foot forward in between the hands. So taking a few steps if that feels good, or using your hand, or maybe the right foot comes forward in one go. Once your right foot gets to the top of the mat, allowing the left foot to come flat, taking a bend through that front knee, keeping the knee over the ankle, and then inhale, rising up, coming into Warrior One. So this is a little different from last time. So the hips in Warrior One are facing forward rather than to the side as they are in Warrior Two. So if that feels a little awkward with the hips coming forward, feel free to come up onto the back toes into a high lunge instead. Sometimes it can feel a bit tweaky on the hips, having the back heel down. So see what feels good for you. If you want to have the heel up, then go for it, keeping a bend in that front knee. And then letting the arms rise up, reaching tall. On your exhale, if you're in Warrior One, coming onto the back toes as you lower the hands down to the ground and stepping back from here into plank, or if you want to go all fours first and then into plank, that's fine too. When you're ready, lowering the knees down, untucking the toes, finding your way down to the ground. On your inhale, peeling up, finding your cobra, maybe baby cobra, maybe a deeper cobra. Exhale, lowering down to the ground. And then finding your way back up onto your knees and into downward facing dog in whatever way feels good for you. On your next inhale, lifting the left foot back and up, so maybe a little hover from the ground, maybe taking the left leg further up. And if you're finding it really hard to balance here, you can always bring the right foot to center before you lift the left leg up, and that'll help a little bit with the balance. So see what feels good for you. And then inhale, coming up onto the right toes and finding that left foot to the front of the mat in whatever way works for your body. If you did bring that right foot to center, you might want to let it just step out a little bit so you're still hips width apart. And then allowing the right foot to come flat at the back of the mat. Taking a bend in that front knee, inhale, rising up into Warrior One. So again, if this is feeling a little tweaky, a little bit uncomfortable in the hips, really difficult if you're finding that the hips want to be open rather than to the front, then do come up onto the back toes. It helps keep the hips in line a little bit more depending on how your hips are made. So listen into your body here. If it's not feeling at all comfortable, then do take the high lunge. And then inhale, arms rise up, reaching up for one more breath, bending into that front knee. Exhale, coming onto the back toes if you're in Warrior One, bringing the hands to the ground and stepping back into plank. On an inhale, lowering the knees down, untucking the toes, and exhale, finding your way all the way down to the ground. Inhale, rising up into Cobra when you're ready, peeling up slowly, maybe taking a baby cobra or a deeper one. If you're taking a deeper cobra, still keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. And then exhale, coming down to the ground and finding your way back up onto knees, maybe using elbows, especially if the arms are feeling tired. And if the wrists or the hands are tired, then feel free to take a child's pose, otherwise taking a downward facing dog. Checking in that the head is nice and relaxed. hugging the forearms together, hips rise high. And then walking or stepping the feet forward, coming into your halfway lunge at the top of the mat. Exhaling, releasing down into your forward fold. Inhale, rolling up through the spine. Arms come up to the side, up overhead, and this time, as the hands come together, opening the arms into a wide cactus, an option to take a lion's breath, opening the mouth wide, tongue comes out towards the chin, and lowering the arms down. So staying at the top of the mat here, option to come into a little balance. You're also welcome to stay in mountain pose, bringing the hands to the chest, maybe closing the eyes, if you'd like to have a few minutes of restoration and coming back to center in the body. If you'd like to try the balance, then starting by grounding down through the right foot. So when we talk about grounding down through the feet, thinking about each foot as a tripod. So there are 3 points of support on each foot. We've got the base of the big toe, the base of the little toe, and the heel. So as you're standing there with your right foot, kind of checking in with all 3 points and noticing how those 3 points support the foot. Finding something to focus on, so anything you like that's not moving. And then bringing the hands together in front of the chest and drawing the left leg across and in front. So keeping the toes on the ground. Staying in this position for now. Option to add in a little bit more balance if you want by bending both knees and by lifting the left toes. So this is these are eagle legs. You can actually tuck the toes. There's an option to, I say you can. For some people, it can feel possible to tuck the toes behind the calf, but that's not always possible. So feel free to have the toes out at the side. And then rising up, bringing that leg back down, giving them a little shake. So when we're in eagle, you can either have the toes staying on the ground, you can have the toes out to the side or behind the calf, and all of these are correct expressions of the pose. So it's about choosing what's feeling right for your body. So let's try that on the left side. Grounding down into the left foot this time. So finding those 3 points on your left foot, base of big toe, base of little toe and heel. Once you've got those 3 points, bringing the hands together, drawing the right leg across and bringing the toes down to the ground. So absolutely okay to stay here. If you'd like to try lifting the foot, then you're bending both knees a little bit and you're kind of getting a sense for hugging the legs together as maybe the right toes lift. And as with before, there is the option if you want to bring those toes behind the calf. Sometimes what happens when the toes come behind the calf is that the hips want to twist. So the hips are facing forward here, just as they were in Warrior One. So it may be that having the toes out to the side allow those hips to stay forward more easily. And then rising up, bringing the foot back down and giving those legs a little shake. So whenever we're thinking about hips facing forward, imagine you've got kind of 2 headlights, one on each hip, and you want those headlights to be shining a path in front of you. So if you're ever in a pose and you maybe think the headlights are kind of veering off to the side a little bit, then seeing what you can do in your body to bring it into a place where the hips are forwards, and that'll look after your body really well when you're doing the pose as well. So option to come through that another time and also add on the arms that we did right at the beginning of class, or you can stay with the legs, bringing the hands together. So first of all, working with the legs, grounding down into your right foot. And once you feel steady, then drawing the left leg across. So it may be that while you're getting the arms sorted, you want to leave that left foot on the ground. You're welcome to lift the leg if you'd like to. And then from here, bringing the right arm out in front, palm to the sky. So this was what we did right at the beginning. Left arm comes underneath, bending both elbows, and then hands either coming back to back or linking in. And as you inhale, lifting the elbows up and away from the body. And if you're feeling really kind of grounded here and you want to have that balance, option to lift the foot, option to do the little tuck behind the calf, or you can leave the toes on the ground. So wherever you are, hugging the knees together, keeping the elbows lifting up and away, keeping the hips forward. One more breath. Okay to have a wobble here. And then rising up, foot comes to the ground, shaking out arms, shaking out legs, and coming to give that a try on the other side. So grounding down through the left foot, finding your points of support, finding a little place to focus on. When you're ready, drawing that right foot across. Keeping that right foot on the ground if you want initially to get the arms together, or you can lift it if you're feeling particularly balanced and stable. And bringing the left arm out in front this time, right arm comes underneath. And then bending the elbows, bringing the palms together or back to back. And you can also take the hug here, so that's why I was saying I should have said that before, you know, if you took the hug last time, feel free to take the hug this time. And equally, if it's feeling like a lot with the arms and the legs, then definitely feel free to take that as an option. Lifting the elbows up and away. And then seeing about where it feels good for your feet to be. So maybe you do a little hover, and maybe you keep the foot back down. Maybe you're tucking behind the calf. Either way, keeping those legs really hugging together as you're also keeping the arms hugging together. So everything's kind of hugging in and getting a feeling of lifting up through the body. And then the feet are grounding down. And when you're ready, rising up, untucking everything, giving it a little shake. Woo! So really well done for whichever versions you took. If you decided to take the balance, it can be tough doing the arms and the legs together. So yeah, great opening across legs, shoulders and everything with that one. When you're back at the front of your mat, if you moved away, inhaling, reaching up, exhaling, release to forward fold. And then bringing the hands by the feet, stepping back straight into downward facing dog. We'll take one breath here. And then lowering the knees down. So coming on into that all fours position. And then coming to sit on your heels. On an inhale, reaching up tall through the spine. And then bringing the hands behind the back, if it feels okay. One hand inside each elbow. So allowing those shoulders to open after doing eagle pose. Drawing up tall through the spine, through the crown of the head. And then untucking the arms, reaching up once more. And as you exhale this time, seeing if you can take the opposite elbow, so the weird way, the way that doesn't feel right at all, and opening up the shoulders from this way. When you're ready, uncurling the arms, bringing the feet to side and sitting down. So if you normally take a block underneath the hips in this position, feel free to take a block or a little cushion underneath the hips. And if you've got your couple of cushions or your couple of pillows, you might want these just for the next bit. You don't have to, but I think it can be kind of nice. So drawing the right knee in, opening the right knee to the side and bringing the foot to the left calf. Sitting up tall, inhale, arms rise up. And as you exhale, option to either stage you are or to fold forward any amount, seeing if you can lead with the chest rather than with the chin or the forehead. So don't feel like you need to get your forehead to your knee or be coming into some complicated foot wrap here. Absolutely okay to stay really seated. If you've got all of your cushions and props, you might decide, oh, that's quite nice to create a little cozy platform and then maybe rest down on your cozy platform. So it's whatever feels good, really. You can stay sitting up, you can use your props. If you are feeling particularly open, of course, you're welcome to bring the head down or to come into a foot wrap, but it's really not essential. And actually what I would say is be really mindful of overstretching the back of the leg. Much better to ease off a little bit than to go too far. Sometimes in yoga, it's easy to go too far and then the next day it can feel not so good. So this is not about coming into a place where you're really stretching the back of the leg. If there's any discomfort, ease out a little bit, find a place where it feels comfortable, and then hang out there for a couple of breaths. So seeing if you can listen into your body here. What is it telling you? What do your legs need? What does the back of your legs feel like? And maybe you also feel an opening in the lower back, in the side of the waist, in the hip. So taking it to a point where you can maybe just begin to feel a bit of opening, but nothing that's too intense. And taking a couple more deep breaths here. Seeing if you can send your breath down to any of those places that feel super tight. Anywhere where you'd like there to be a bit more space. On your next inhale, if your hands have come forward, walking them back in, moving any props that you might have used out of the way. And then using your right hand to guide the leg in. Hands come behind the body, a little shake of the legs. And coming onto the other side, drawing the left knee in, opening the knee out, bringing the left foot to the right thigh. Inhale, reaching up tall. And as you exhale, option to come forward only if that feels good. Maybe you use your props. This side might feel completely different, so being really mindful as you ease in, looking after the lower back, looking after the back of the legs, taking real care not to overstretch. How can your body feel comfortable in this pose? How can it feel spacious and open? Sending your breath to any of those places in your body that maybe need it today. Maybe using this as an opportunity to learn about your body, about maybe areas that are tight that you didn't know about before. Feeling into what's going on for you. Maybe allowing the eyes to close for a couple more breaths. And then as you inhale, drawing the hands in if they were forward, moving any props out of the way. Hands behind the body, straightening out the legs, little shake. And then scooting up to about halfway up on your mat, coming down onto your back and hugging the knees into the chest. Little rock from side to side. Bringing the feet down and taking a little windscreen side to side as well. And then yes, the next bit that's coming is Shavasana, the wonderful Super relaxing part of yoga. When you're ready, opening up into whatever shape feels good for your body today. So maybe that's opening up completely to the floor. Any other cozy position, using your pillows, your cushions, getting as comfortable as you can. Maybe if you like to, reach in the arms up and overhead, taking one last inhale, reaching tip of toes to tips of fingers, pointing the toes, reach, reach, reach. And exhale, deep sigh. Allowing the arms and legs to open, allowing the jaw to relax. And the breath to come to whatever feels good for you. Taking a little moment to check in. How does your body feel? How did this class feel? Maybe it feels a bit different now to when it did at the beginning of class. So seeing what's going on for you, enjoying the sensations in the body. Noticing what it's like as you breathe in and out. And with every exhale, feeling yourself melting deeper and deeper into the mat. Taking a few moments of quietness and stillness in the body, of total support. If you have a few minutes longer, you can stay here. I really encourage you to hang out for longer in this position. And as with always, be really mindful whenever you decide to come up, taking your time coming up to seat. Thank you for joining me for Gentle Yoga Flow today. I really look forward to practicing with you again soon. Namaste.